What's up, guys? So today we are working on a Whirlpool washer, and we're gonna change out the water valve and the control board. Now, the reason why we aren't doing that is because for some reason the cold water valve is not opening and it's not allowing water to come through. Now, I did put it into manual diagnostics mode, but it still was not. It just sounded like it was not sending power. So we're gonna replace both. So these are very simple, and I actually love to work on these, surprisingly. So everything for the most part is a 1/4-inch screw. You want to take off those. It's gonna be a total of, well, it's basically gonna be most of the screws on the back. They're all 1/4-inch screws. And also remember, when you are changing out a water valve, just be sure that the valves are closed, and if you can't close them, try to pinch them with either some pressure clamps or even some plastic straps. So right there you see me putting in my putty knife. It's basically just pushing in those little pressure pins. Not so much, just enough where you can lift up, because if you go all the way through, they might fall and go into that hole. Then you're gonna have to lift up the washer to be able to take them off, to be able to find them. So right there you see me disconnecting the connectors from the water valve. Now, what tends to happen with these is that either this water valve gets clogged, or, for example, like right now, there's a little bit of a miscommunication between the control board and the water valve itself, because the hot water valve actually works, when I request it, but it's the cold water valve that, it's not working. Now, if it was the opposite side, the cold was coming in but not the hot, then the customer would be able to use the washer. But as everyone knows, on every cycle, when it gets to the rinse and spin, you need cold water to be able to rinse out your clothes. So if that's not there, then it's going to be spinning with no cold water, and sometimes it won't rinse out properly, and your clothes are going to come out a little bit different per se. So right there you see me disconnect all the connectors. It's only held on by the I believe 2 1/4-inch screws, and the actual knob for the control board itself. Now, just kind of compare them both just to see if it actually is the control board, because sometimes they have different variations and certain connectors won't actually fit. So just kind of double check right there. Now, after you set it on, just be sure to put the 2 1/4-inch screws back into place, and then start connecting everything back to where it belongs. Now, these are very easy. It's kind of difficult to make a mistake with these, because everything has its own place where it belongs. Now, if you're talking about changing out the transmission or something like that, that's a different story. But something like this is fairly simple, pretty self-explanatory when you have it just in front of you. I think the most difficult part between these two is obviously going to be the water valve, because you're dealing with a different source, which is the water at the wall, making sure you don't leave a big mess. But like I've always told you guys, these videos are strictly just for you. So if you have this sort of washer at home, you can take as much time as you need to. Just be sure that, you do it correctly. You put everything back how it was from the very beginning. That's why I keep telling you guys, just take pictures, have a starting point, have a reference point, just so you know where you're going. Now this one, it's held on by, I think, some torque screws. You saw that I checked if it even fit in that control board, because sometimes the connectors or the receivers are a bit different. So right there I already have the water valves turned off. So I'm just going to unscrew them. Like I said, it's held on by, I believe, 2... I know they're torque screws, basically, so just be sure to buy yourself a little torque bit set. That way you're able to actually, complete and do the job. But anyways, when you unscrew the water valves, what you want to do after you take off that torque screw, you're gonna push down and then pull upwards. It kind of has a little bit of tabs on the side. If you notice when you take off those torque screws, on the side of the left and the right, you see like these little pointy tabs. It's supposed to be held on by those as well, so just kind of push downwards and then pull up, and then it'll pop out. So also, another thing that happens with these water valves is that sometimes they crack, and they crack in places where you can't actually visibly see until water starts to come through it. And even when water starts to come through it, you have to wait a little bit, because the pressure is starting to accumulate, and then it eventually starts getting to that position where it's cracked, and then water will come out. I remember we had a customer a while ago complaining about her washer would leak sometimes, but every time we would go, we would check it, and then we weren't able to find it. So finally, we told her just run a cycle that for a fact is gonna leak, and then we'll show up right there mid-cycle and see where it's at. And lo and behold, it was cracked like right in the middle, a little bit more towards the left side where the hot water valve is. But you could barely see it coming out. It just looked like mist was coming out of it. So, and eventually, everything's just gonna start to accumulate, and then it's gonna end up at the bottom. So, just be careful with those. Now, after we are done here, excuse me, after we're done here and put everything back into place, I am gonna show you guys how to put it back into manual diagnostics mode. That way you kind of skip the whole process of putting it on a normal cycle, letting it run through the motions, or even on a quick cycle, and it takes you maybe like, I don't know, 5 minutes to diagnose the major components on this sort of washer. That's why I actually like these. So, and I actually own one of these at home, so they're very easy to work with. None of that fancy stuff. It's just, a little bit overkill. But after we do that, put everything back in place, make sure everything's okay. Right now I'm looking for that power cord. We are going to reconnect it. You're going to hear a little bit of a click. That is the control board coming on. And here we go. So you want to start in the middle, go 1, 2, 3, then left, then right. So again, 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 to the right. And then you have to click it where the lights are touching each other. So right next to each other. So just turn it maybe twice and you'll end up there. Press start and you are good to go for the manual diagnostics mode. Right there, I'm just checking if any sort of water is coming out, and a little bit was, so just went ahead and gave it a little bit more of a snug. So right there, I am testing the cold water valve. I know you didn't see me do it, but the way that I started testing it, I went clockwise once, and then that's for the cold water valve. I went, and I pressed start, and to stop it, you gotta press start again. And then I kept going further clockwise, and that's for the cold water valve. Stopped it again, and then if I keep going clockwise until 3 lights are touching each other, that will be for the drain pump. Now, when you press start, go back to the middle position where only the lid lock light is on, and then you're gonna start going counterclockwise. And the first one is agitating. After that one, it's the second level of agitating, and then the last one is gonna be when it's activating your actuator to pull the pulley to switch it from agitating to spin. Very, very, very simple. Very simple. And like I said before, guys, as always, these videos are to help you save a quick buck, because appliance repair is very expensive. I have a neighbor that has the same washer as I, because we just purchased our homes maybe like a month or two apart, but everybody basically gets the same appliances. This same washer is malfunctioning for him because it just keeps on staying on drain when the drain pump finally comes on the rinse and spin. Now it'll probably complete the spin, but the drain pump just keeps staying on. Now that is a control board issue. Now the control board itself cost very, very much. But I'll tell you a story about that later. Anyways, thank you for watching. Keep up for the next one. See you then. Peace.